it could have gone on a lot longer.
Welcome to my TED Talk about Metal Gear Solid and why 5 is superior game.
Every fucking time.
I don't think it's a controversial opinion that 5 is better than 4. Based on living on the internet.
My friend who said that he hated 5, and I was like, I hate you.
I think, but that's one person. I think the common consensus is 5 is better than 4.
That's what I'd heard. Yeah.
The only way to find out for sure is to check IGN and see what they rated it.
Oh no.
Metal Gear Solid, the game with the box and snake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
It's all one big reference to Escape from New York, a great movie with a sequel that doesn't exist. That's what I'll say about that. If you haven't watched this, it's a good. The thing is that Solid Snake is Snake Plissken from Escape from New York. There is in the first games they make no attempt. That was in like the early 90s where everyone was just shamelessly ripping people off.
What is copyright?
Like how all the early
personal identity?
all the early World of Warcraft stuff is DnD gods.
I will give a
like
free
that.
smooch to anyone who knows what Snake's real name is.
You can Google it.
Without Googling
I
it.
did know it at one stage because I'd seen the cutscene that.
His name is fucking David.
Yeah,
Oh!
I was gonna say.
That makes sense.
David Snake. Attorney
Why does
at
that
law.
make sense?
I don't know. He seems like a David if you looked at him.
He looks just like a fucking David. You look at him like, oh, what's up, Dave?
Yeah,
He does look like a David. He doesn't look a Dave.
These are the dreams of Rakath as he
Oh,
sleeps.
my name's David. I'm gonna kill everybody in this building.
Uh,
Alright, let's play D&D.
Metal David. Colonel. My name is David.
Oh god, why?
Dave! Dave!
He doesn't answer to Dave though. He's one of those. Did you ever have? Okay, to continue this. Did you ever have a teacher in school? I had a teacher in school that would refuse to be
I had
acknowledged.
several teachers in school.
That would refuse to pay. Like if you didn't refer to him as doctor, he would not acknowledge you were talking to him.
I had
Okay.
substitutes that were like that. Like an actual teacher.
Substitute's even worse.
I had the opposite experience. I had this sweet little old lady. She was retired from being like a biologist. In her retirement, she taught high school. And in fact, if anyone brought up her doctorate, she'd be like, "Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about that. I'm just like everyone else here." And I'm like,
Aw.
cool. Shouts out to Mrs. Devitt.
Yeah. I did have a teacher who very specifically was like, no, you need to call me doctor. I earned this shit. And he first of all, he was not a substitute, but he was not a permanent teacher in the classroom. Like he would go between different classrooms.
He was
and
a
do
switch.
He was a switch teacher. Yes, exactly.
Power bottom.
But the thing is,
It's
one
not
of
the same.
I did not have the mental capacity for this in high school because I was very much too much of a little nerd bullied kid. But one of the cooler children responded to him by saying when he said that to someone else, and he just said, "Okay, doctor, you have no power here." And
Oh, that's very high school, isn't it?
very high
That's
school.
very high school.
And then proceeded to just ignore the teacher for the whole class and just started shouting and talking to the whole class. It was very interesting. It was a
be
very weird
honest,
power dynamic. It was
you
a
could
big power move.
You could have foregone the explanation that you were a nerdy kid in high school simply
No.
just by saying one of the cooler children.
No, look,
he wanted to self-own younger William.
it's very
It's just-
important.
He's cool
Like,
now.
just
He's
by
got a
referring to
tattoo.
Someone else as one of the cooler children, like immediately outs you as a huge nerd.
Yeah.
First of all, fuck you.
To
Secondly,
just continue this topic because there's a lot to mine here. I wanted to take art classes, weirdly enough, which meant I couldn't take proper science classes. You couldn't take both. You had to take like a homogenous. So it was people who want to take art, all 2 of us, and everyone who couldn't apply to the other classes because they weren't smart enough or badly behaved. And this was in the early 2000s where people didn't know about like the autism spectrum properly enough, and there was a guy in that class who definitely should have been in like a school for him, and it was a rough time. I hope he's doing okay now. You know, just when people like act out. You know, it's like it's like the Dean Cuddy.
Yes.
Just acting out because he can't get his way. People don't understand
you have to
him.
ban him on stream.
Yeah, I had some interesting teachers. I had one that literally gave me a 0 for a project because my laptop froze when I was printing it. I was able to take my computer over to him, show him that it was frozen with my project on the screen. And he was like, nah, you're not giving it to me. It's 0.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we're doing right now.
We are about to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Like in the game, like. If
Oh,
someone-
don't worry!
We got
I
branded
don't either.
heretics.
Yeah,
I am unconscious.
I remember now.
William is unconscious. You just
Being
got a
average
raid
fine.
from the Magic Investigation Bureau, and you were
That
deemed
was-
naughty.
MIB. It was the MIB.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we hid all of our drugs underneath our unconscious half Fomorian.
Yeah, you hid
Still
everything,
deep.
and then Yuna just went and said, "Oh yeah, I'm stealing souls," and he's like talking with old ones, and
Yeah, he's dabbling in void magic,
she
so...
just gave the game away.
I don't know that's not allowed.
How did
They
you
worship a
know
spider
that
god.
wasn't allowed?
Are you trying to tell me there's no hypocrisy in?
My
Drow
favorite
religion?
thing was like
Nothing
that,
is true. Everything is permitted.
Yeah.
like
That's-
the person
If it's
opened one of
legal,
the
it's not
barrels, and
heresy.
that's what you went to.
If it's not heresy,
Yes, they
it's
did.
not
There definitely
fine.
does a opinion change on the man barrels in the basement.
Yeah, that was
Hey,
I'm just trying
they're
to be
not
honest.
exclusively for men.
That's a fucking Heisenberg move. Just putting dudes in
It
barrels in
is.
the basement.
Here's the thing, all right? None of those barrels are currently full with men.
I know.
None of them. Not a single one is full with a man at this moment in time.
I mean,
Those
I
barrels
believe
could be
you.
for anything.
There was one that had the remains of one, didn't it?
No, that was already given
I
away
believe
and put
Will,
out.
Will is very careful to tell me these things. I believe they actually were all empty.
Oh, okay.
But regardless of how the conversation went with the Palace Arcanum and the Medusa who runs it,
That's right. It was
were
Medusa.
officially branded heretics,
was-
which
wasn't
is
a
not
Medusa.
the hugest deal. It's more
Yeah.
like a business embargo.
Yeah.
But still pretty
Oh,
bad.
now I have to go to a fundraiser.
Yuna's gonna have to go to church. That's really all this is. It's just
And
that Yuna's
that's
gonna have to start
with
going
the
to church.
request that Yuna has to go to church
That's
as a
right.
show of good faith.
Then
like,
we were
literally.
debating on whether
I'm gonna
I would
go.
catch fire if we went into a church. And then I was like, Serpent Goddess. And Jericho was like, yeah, that's fine, maybe.
Yeah, because there's two major faiths in Narashiro, which are kind of combined, but in the very drow way, there's so much headbutting, they're basically not. And there's those who worship Ivrith as the Spider Queen, and those who worship her as the Serpent Goddess. The kind of typical drow god you might imagine, and a bit more caring, compassionate fertility goddess of the serpent goddess. That one might be a little less bad, but is much less common. So, with that, why don't we start today with Rakaf waking up. Very uncomfortable. Not just because you're sleeping, you're waking up on the dungeon floor, because that's lovely. You know, you slept on this floor hundreds of times. But there's a bunch of stuff jammed under you. You know, some
It was in the
books,
pillar.
some crystals. It's in the
that's
pillow.
right. Yeah, we
that's
did put
right.
a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Very lumpy pillow, but like sharp lumps. Go.
Gonna take the pillow.
It's
Sit up.
glowing, both aether and black.
Oh yeah, we probably shouldn't have put those together.
Yuna!
Intro credits roll.
Yeah. A Fred Flintstone yell.
That was the goal.
I'll skip downstairs.
That would have been the end of the last episode. That wouldn't have been the start of this one.
Yeah, that's the cliffhanger.
Yuna,
Hey, Rackup, how you feeling?
did
Doing
I
better?
steal a bunch of stuff last night?
No. Well, I mean, not last night. This is stuff we've stolen.
Did I steal anything at any point in an inebriated state?
I don't know if you were inebriated at the time that we took the Aether. I don't know what you do with your life.
I don't drink very often, except for when I go drinking.
I won't judge.
This stuff. Why is it in my pillow?
Well, we had to hide it.
Why did you have to hide it?
Because what are they called? Magic Arcanum.
The Palace Arcanum.
Palace Arcanum. We're here. I don't know if it was an investigation or if it was an application or interview of sorts, but they were touching everything.
How did that go?
Not good. We've been branded heretics.
Oh,
I gotta
so
go.
I'm back to my old status then, in all likelihood.
It'll be fine.
It's pretty much the same. There really isn't a difference for me.
I'm gonna go to church and I'm going to read everybody's thoughts and I'm going to get some dirt on them and then I'm gonna threaten them to leave me alone.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Oh no.
Well, you have fun with that.
Thank you.
Do you want this stuff back?
Yeah, you can put it in my room.
Okay. I'm going to keep my pillow, though.
You
Unless
might want to put the black one back inside the lead box.
Yes, why is the black one outside of the lead box, and why was it under my head?
The
I
box
don't
wouldn't
really like
fit in the
keeping it in the
pillow.
lead box.
Is the lead box in the room right now?
No! The lead box is also contraband. That's probably like...
Since I tore him.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
you know, it is it's a suspicious item.
It's a poorly made safe.
Yeah. Yeah, Rakaf could fumble his way through that. You know, wouldn't have. And Voss would have been like, it's a box. We put stuff in it. And they're like, what? And it just doesn't reply.
If you hid all of the stuff, why were we branded heretics?
Well, it's really unclear. Jareko thinks it could be Voss. Just
Right.
being Voss.
Fair.
He thinks it could be Rofi just being Rofi. It could be you being you. Or
Right.
it could be me casting magic.
All of
What
the above.
if? And then Rakath just casually glares over at Reginald.
It could have been
Reginald,
I don't know.
turn. Like a submarine in the ice.
I'm going to just think really hard at Reginald for a moment and just say, are you the reason that we are branded heretics? And I'm not saying that out loud. I'm going to be saying that to Reginald through my mind.
Reginald does not reply.
Good.
But Reginald does stare at you.
At this point, Voss is just gonna enter the room and, like, upon seeing Reginald, just like throw a sheet over the fishbowl.
Oh, that is long overdue.
Can I keep my lipid skull like in Reginald's tank? Like
Yeah,
as, like,
if you want.
decoration?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, you took the skull with you.
yeah.
Of course I did.
Oh,
We
okay.
can talk to it again in 10 days.
Ah, good. Great.
I hate this.
Hi, boss. How are you?
Voss's
than
blood is
your-
awakened.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Voss is very... He hasn't had his morning tea.
What?
I just didn't hear a sheet. It took Josiah a second.
I know, yeah. I just
Josiah
really...
has not had his
I-
evening coffee.
I always enjoy those player moments, but when they're trying to be in character, they are beautiful. They're very cool.
Very cool.
What does your blood being awakened mean precisely?
But I said.
I don't know yet.
Well, come here.
I
Are you gonna
go
lay
there.
down like on the torture bed?
Yeah.
I want to make a
and
small
medical.
incision into Voss's finger. And I just want to drain a little bit of blood. And I want to see if it is normal looking.
You can give me a medicine check for that. You're doing a bit of a thing. Blood test.
That was almost really good.
Still not bad.
I believe this might be something you probably noticed before, is that Voss in general has darker blood than other drow, and always has. But that's one of those things you just were like, until like now you're like, oh, there's something to this.
I'm gonna take a small vial of Voss blood, which
I like how there's no
Something you would also
question.
notice,
I'm taking it.
given what's happening, is when you do go to take this, like, it's not hard to get blood, but like you end up having to do more damage than you would
Push
think you would need to.
the
Like,
needle it.
drawing blood is more difficult than it would be from just like a normal person, I guess.
I just assume your finger is calloused at this point, given
Yeah,
all of the
I
hard
just
work
have
that you do.
2-inch thick calluses on my entire
My
body.
calluses have calluses.
Yeah. Interesting.
I've had that skin on me since I was 17. That's ancient skin.
Yeah, it's like.
Thank you. I
Don't mention it.
will look into this further at some point, but not right now.
Well, that puts my mind at ease.
I mean, it's not a rush. Whatever your blood is awakening to, you're clearly standing, so that's really the main thing that matters.
It is a good thing. I mean, not in the sense of the balance of good and evil, more in the sense of it is a positive thing for us, for myself, and therefore us.
Okay.
It means that I will eventually be able to cast magic the same way my aunt does.
Terrifying. All right. Well, I'm going to go put this back in the box. Which is inside Torum right now? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is
Torum's
the
chest
box?
cavity is often used to hold
Torm has
contraband.
just become, like a little lockbox for illicit substances.
And only
Well,
you
so is the
knows
little toy
allowed to
soldier.
put. Yeah, be very offensive if you did anything else.
So I am going to pick up my pillow, walk over to my table, and grab my illithid brain that's in the jar. Still, it should be in fairly good condition because I sealed the jar. It should be pretty all right.
Yeah, it's a brain in a jar.
You know, it's a brain in a jar. And I'm just gonna put that in my arm, and I don't even really know why I'm doing it, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna walk upstairs to Rofi with the black aether crystal to put back in the box.
Over there.
Yes. Can you? My hands are full. Thank you.
Goes in.
Sometimes Torum has Runt's gardening hat on.
Adjust.
I have a request.
Oh? You're awake!
Yes. How
Good.
long have I been not awake for?
It's been
Why am I
about a
asking
day, but
You don't know.
yeah,
No,
I just
no,
realized
Rofi
that Rofi
generally
wouldn't
gives
have
a
known
shrug.
either.
Yeah.
I don't know why I answered that as the DM, given
Yeah.
the context here.
Never mind. Don't worry about that. Yes, I'm awake. I have a request for you. I don't know why, but and I pull out of my pocket an eye. Just one of the eyes from one of the corpses that I had. It's a little squishy. Can you make a cast of this? Metal, preferably, so that I can pour a liquid into it to make it an eye shape.
Should be able to.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, just need to get a couple of supplies.
Okay.
You
will be a-
immediately just start doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you ask him to do it, he just goes.
Give me a real quick crafting, blacksmithing tools, whichever tools you have, Rofi. You
I
sure
believe
as hell
I have
use-
blacksmithing.
I think you
should
do.
have.
It just hasn't come up properly for a while because it's often been downtime. stuff.
Okay, smith tools with what?
Intelligence, yeah. Sometimes smithing tools is strength, but this is fine. Yeah, easy. This is not a hard thing to do for you. This takes no real time at all.
Thank you.
To give him an eye mold.
Okay. And then I hold that in my hand with my brain jar and then continue up the stairs with the pillow of stuff that I'm going to Yuna's room to drop off.
Honestly, the thing that would take the longest is like just waiting for the mold to set.
I
Like,
probably
he
would have
builds
dropped
it, makes
the
the
stuff
mold, they're
off
sitting there
first and
staring
then
at
come
it.
back. Because
Yeah, you come
Yeah.
back down and it's just this red hot eye staring at you.
Let me know when that's
The
done.
tongs, or like go to hand it to you with the tongs and wait, no, too hot.
Rakat would consider grabbing it too, and it went, oh, hold on, wait a
You're
moment.
both as bad as each other.
Yes. Once it's no longer hot, I'm gonna go back downstairs, and I'm gonna start brewing this brain into liquid, and I'm gonna pour it into the eye cast. And I don't really know why I'm doing it. He just is doing it. He's on autopilot. This is the first thing he was thinking of when he woke up, and just he's going.
Is there anything else anyone would like to do while Rakav's doing his morning eye chores?
I actually do want to go to the church today because I have good portents for it.
Do you wanna bring anyone with you?
No one's allowed to come with me.
That is
Yeah.
true.
I'm gonna make
We're all
Draco come.
heretics.
Yeah, you
Draco-
can bring
Draco would
Draco.
be
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make Draco come, and I'm gonna make sure I have the top
Make
stone on me.
Draco go.
Draco
You
will.
got
Okay.
you got the Rocky Talkie?
I have the Rocky Docky.
Good. I think I have the other one right now.
Will actually there's less resistance than you might expect. He's like, yep, that is a good idea. We should go to the church. He picks out his most holy looking cloak and will
You dress up for this?
well he kind of I mean we should make an effort, right? Like a little bit. Like you should change the
This is so unfair. I'm gonna change my color. You're actually the worst.
I'm not the worst. I'm the one trying to stop you from getting eaten by spiders. Or whatever the punishment may be for heresy, my dear sister.
Why are we following a church that will eat us with spiders?
We're not a very religious family.
The correct
go-
answer.
You go to the local church, because you're kind of in a part of the city that's, it's not the highest point you get before you get to the high city, but there's a lot of nobility, so you do have a church nearby. The area in front of it is this lovely walkway that looks out over other parts of the city. Actually kind of looks over the Palace Arcanum, which is, you know, basically a big campus of buildings and magical studies and things. The church itself is much like most of the other churches of Ivrith. White stone. The artistry on the outside is almost more important than the inside. Mostly of female drow figures holding, like, they look like they're holding the roof up. Effortlessly, of course. You go inside, it's dark. You know.
Jesus.
It's gloomy inside. A little bit of aether orb light kind of floating around. As has been, so you've seen this decoration in a couple of buildings before. It's pretty common. It's pretty quiet in here. There's a little bit of a sort of musical humming coming from the altar. Not a whole lot of light. It isn't like a church where there's like stained glass bringing the light in. It's dark, it's gloomy, everything is illuminated by this kind of bluish magic, displaying webs on the ceilings and people who are hooded up, kind of just with their heads down. There's definitely something happening at the altar, and the opinion, the thoughts you're picking up kind of scouring the area is like a mixture of just devout prayer, that kind of fearful prayer, and worry at what's happening at the altar. When you extend your mind towards the altar, you do immediately get the thoughts of a sentient creature in pain, but you can't quite see it.
Oh no.
Time to nope out. But yeah, I am gonna look for like any like anti-Daimao thoughts and heretical thoughts, particularly from people like who are in the clergy.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do like an investigation check for that.
Yeah,
or...
insight would fit pretty well.
Insight? Okay, I'm gonna use my natural 20 that I rolled on my portrait.
Please do. So, as you scour the place, you probably sit down and pretend to be a good churchly girl.
Yeah.
The priestess that seems to be running the place, wearing the sort of ivory white garb that most of the priestesses wear, with a hooked staff, standing over the altar, is having these intense thoughts of glee, and when you probe a little deeper, it's this woman has a kind of blackmail plan. It seems that there's a bit of a power vacuum in the Church of Ivrith, and not that you would know this because you don't pay attention to these things. But apparently the person in charge of the church is dead. And a lot of the church is kind of splintered, but not outwardly. It's all behind closed doors. And while she is doing this ritual on the altar, she is having these thoughts of blackmailing several other priestesses and church officials and things to go further up the power rankings.
Is this something that could get her in trouble if it was known?
If you're
I
told,
use this to blackmail.
if it went to the right people,
Okay.
absolutely. Like for
Then
example, Kato. You know, if you told Kato, she would not accept this kind of thing. As a paladin of the church, trying to root out corruption in a church of corruption is a living.
An ongoing process.
Yeah.
Good job, security.
It's a
though.
living.
Yeah.
So, in that case, I am absolutely gonna probe deeper into her mind, so she does get a save against it. She's gonna roll a 4. My portrait. And I am going.
My favorite thing is watching
also...
Oli go to roll. Sorry.
He knows that I'm doing this also, but I will
Yeah.
also encode thoughts while I'm doing it, so I get a nice little ribbon of thought.
With this ritual she's completing, over
I'm just gonna make eye contact with her.
Over a creature that is not quite human, not quite spider. Her form slips, and she drops the like ball of magic that kind of crashes on the table, and people like jump because it's very quiet in any elven church. Everything's happening very slowly. It's like a dropping a plate in a quiet restaurant. Her eyes deep red, stare at you. Probably not entirely understanding what you're doing when it comes to encoding thoughts, but knowing that you're delving into her mind.
That I delved into her mind, yeah.
And
I'm just gonna smile.
can you give me a persuasion check right now?
Yeah.
Or intimidation.
This feels like it's an intimidation as much as I would
This is
prefer to
less.
persuasion.
This is yeah. Absolutely.
Excellent, fantastic. I'm so scared.
I don't
It
see
hasn't
what that-
rolled for us
Yeah.
yet. What was
Like
it?
a
Oh,
2?
it's an 8 total.
Okay. She is going to pick up her staff and slowly drift over. While she does, you see the person on the altar like curl up like a spider in death, and skittering eyes in the dark of the high roof of the church. It's easy to tell that she's pissed. And Draco just kind of clears his throat. I hope you have a good plan.
Well, let's go.
We're leaving? That's the plan? That's your
I'm
plan?
gonna leave. That's my leave, yeah.
He's like, gets up and like shuffles past like someone's... Excuse me. Yes. And we'll...
Lovely church, goodbye.
Not suspicious at all.
Yeah, this woman will follow to like the door, clearly trying to keep some degree of chill. But you can like just see the anger and shame and frustration. You know when you can like kind of see the muscles tensing under the skin. Oh, she is pissed, and Draco is in a hop, skip, and a jog to leave that place as quickly as possible. Well, you made it 5 minutes before doing something. Just
Technically, I had the spell cast before we walked in the door. Oh.
he will once it's clear that you're not actually being like chased through the streets.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait for her outside of the church, I think.
Oh, really? You'll stop?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
stop.
She
Like
kind
once
of
we get like out of view.
she just sort of stands in the doorway for a bit, and then will clearly cast a spell, but it doesn't seem to put much effort in. She doesn't cast it from like the staff or anything like that. Just kind of a motion of her hand. One of the spiders from the darkness crawls up her dress to her arm. She whispers something to it and
That's a very nice spider.
sends it away.
It's very nice to meet you, by the way. My name is Yuna. This is my brother Draco.
I do not care much for your name, girl. I imagine if you want to play with your magical abilities, you'll have much more success at the college.
This is true. Speaking of the college, they branded us as heretics, and I just want to make sure that you guys leave us alone. Is that okay?
She glances around. There's like a couple of people on this street. Draco just kind of like, this is the worst idea. She is going to kill us. Look at that. That is murder face.
I mean, that would be really unfortunate if she
That
killed us.
is murder
Because
face.
then her plan would get out.
This city is without a high priestess.
Mhm.
Is it ungodly of me to aspire to greatness? I have the
I don't
power.
judge. Of course. I assume you're wonderful at your job.
This is just Aaron right now.
This is
Just
great.
angry
this is-
Aaron.
Look, I see that you're doing really wonderful with your job, but I need to speak to your manager now. This is
But we just want to be left alone. Is that okay?
If you leave and never return,
Okay.
I will not come for you.
Hmm.
Draco's like,
Well, I really hope
lovely!
no one comes for us.
Good.
Draco.
Great. Very gracious, priestess.
Hi.
Just like turns you around and he just looks back occasionally and she's not turned back around. I was like, well, that could have gone worse. I thought when you said, let's go to the church, we were going to, pray a little, get our social standing up, instead of threatening a priestess.
Well, do you want to read the thoughts that I got? And I kind of just like hold up the crumpled like.
What? Yes. Of course. And he will look through them.
Thing, but yes.
And he will say, "This is interesting," and I'm sure Rakav could do some stuff with this. But
Or if you're really that worried, we can just give it to Kato and it won't be a problem anymore.
yeah, I mean, who has better social standing than snitches, right? He says, like, semi, not as ironically as it sounded, to be fair.
Yeah.
You say that and, like, turn a quarter back to the house, and Kato is there. Like, standing in the middle of the street, like, broad frame. Helmet off!
I'm gonna hide the
though.
thought ribbon.
Can you give me a sleight of hand check, please?
Oh, no.
That's really good.
Oh.
That's really good.
I've been teaching you well. You little klepto.
She's a thought klepto.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, thought police.
If it isn't the siblings de Vescos.
Kato, how are you?
Things are good. And she takes like a step closer and is like,
We just got back from church.
That's good. That's good. I heard some worrying things about the palace. I don't mean to sound accusory, but I stuck my neck out, suggesting that you might be of grand use to the Daimao and the city as a whole, and now you being labeled a heretic, it does mark badly on me.
I'm sorry, Kato. We did try. I actually don't know why we got in trouble. Can I ask?
She looks very disappointed. It's kind of it's almost like a big sisterly look. Like, you shouldn't have fucked up. Your magic, your hoarding of souls, is a danger.
I don't know why that's so bad. Like, eventually I'm gonna learn how to bring them back.
Book of Elos 15. A soul that lingers on this plane will only attract greater evil. Evil forces will sniff out those souls, and your laboratory will become a den of darkness. If not today, then in a century. The foul agents of Arvor seek to bring us low at all moments. It's only a matter of time. And your laboratory is like a spell book for the magicians of evil. Draco kind of like, that's... My sister is incredibly talented. We've only had one accidental explosion in the last year.
And it wasn't even soul related.
It wasn't even soul related, Kato. That was unrelated studies that she's legally allowed to do. Kato pauses, and you can see... You know, Kato's very... She's one of those people that's, like, very stern, very straight-faced, but also isn't very good at hiding emotion when it does come up. He says... That Voss may be one of the forces of evil that would seek to do us harm. His family, since the Age of Strife,
wonderful.
has held evil magic.
He doesn't have to join us for tea.
You can give me a persuasion roll for that one. That is a great, like, diffuse...
Oh, it was so close, and yet so far.
Elos 102. Degeneracy is rot of the spirit, and his bloodline is a degeneracy of what Ivrith has made us, and made us pure. And his choices, since coming to this city, since following your family, have only brought him closer and closer to evil. I could arrest the lot of you. I could find any reason at all. It would all work. Joker's like, that's incredible. We're friends, Kato. That's incredibly hasty. While taking a step backwards. You got anything to say about that? As she kind of has like a breakdown rant at you.
I'm just gonna open the door and like gesture inside so we're not yelling at each other like outside. I'm like,
oh, don't you want the whole city to hear that you are marrying a man one throw short of a demon?
Can I hear this from inside the house?
Yes, she is quite loud.
Oh no.
At this
We're all
point,
coming outside then.
you'll
Yeah,
just
that's-
see Boss like materialize in the door, basically, like just walking out from
when
the house. I don't
Rakas
say
comes
anything.
out,
I'm just there.
I am gonna put the thought ribbon in his hands.
Oh, do what? Okay.
Just
Okay.
It is
Interesting.
It is the word of Lefura that there is value to insanity, but you have gone too far. Maybe a good
Hello,
century in the dungeons of the High Palace will do you all a lot of good. Can you all give me perception checks, please?
Yeah.
Ooh.
For all my
Ooh.
great skill in perception.
Ooh.
That's 15's pretty
I
good.
tabbed into my notes by the actual.
Oh no, is everything slogged down?
I'm good. I'm back again. Perception.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like the second I open, I'm like, oh no, too many notes.
You
How are you
is the
today,
only person to you say that while there's like this break. She's like panting. There's like some tears in her eyes, even. Clearly very distraught. You notice. No, your front door stands on a bit of a balcony that has this stairway down. Like most of Narashiro, it looks out over other parts of the city. You notice a tiny, like a glint of a shiny object, not very big, fall. Somewhere far away, it's hard to tell the distance, you didn't do that good a perception check. Bounce off a couple of rooftops and fall further into the city.
oh, a thing.
Rakan, where?
Everyone turns
It
to
was
follow
a tiny thing.
the
It fell. It tinked on those little rooftops. Should we go
Well,
investigate things?
Let's go! Kato, this is a perfect thing that we need to do right now. Come with me.
And I start
You
running.
can
and
give me
grasp
a
Kato in
persuasion
hand.
check for that one. That is, you get like pretty far. And like when like someone grabs you and runs and like you're kind of autopilot for a bit, and she does, and she kind of like looks like, what was that? What Rakath? What was that?
I don't know what fell, but it was apparently something important enough that it caught Yuna's attention, and let me tell you, that is rare.
As you get like a bit down the stairwell, and is everyone else following?
Sure.
Yes. Rofi doesn't know
Boss
what's
is at the
happening.
back of the court, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're going.
Yeah.
Investigation?
No, because the
Rofi's
next one
doing that
requires
thing where he's-
no. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, go on.
No.
I was like, Rofi's doing that thing where like he's definitely running alongside, but has no clue. He's like, why are we running? We're running.
Yeah,
and why are we running?
Rofi runs with the group.
Here's the question: did Draco come with us, or is he walking back inside to get tea?
Draco is just standing in the doorway.
Oh, Draco, make some tea. We'll be right back.
The next thing that happens requires no perception check. A body falls from round about the same sort of vector bounces off rooftops and falls further down. And there's crunches. You know, the roofs are sharp and spiky and made of stone. Now you can give me a perception check to look further on this.
8.
Voss, it... and I'm going to assume that Rofi isn't going to get that good.
No.
Voss, it looked like a priestess of some kind. Fall and crack into the roofs. And clearly Kato sees that as well.
What's happening?
Oh, this
Kato,
is rich. Illusions now. I talk of putting you all away, and you start on illusions and tricks.
Kato, I don't have illusion magic.
None of us know how to do that.
I'm sure you could have learnt.
I don't learn things that way. Let's go look at it.
You can give me a persuasion or intimidation.
You know what? I'm trying to be
Persuasion.
Nice. Persuasion, but I'm going with persuasion. They're the same.
Yeah, it's like an aggressive. You're not trying to scare her. You're trying to reason with her. I get it entirely.
Yeah.
You see her eyes look in multiple different places as she thinks this through, and then she just gives a single nod, and will turn her cape swooshing behind her, and start that paladin march. Mm-hmm. That fast march downward, getting people to clear out the way as people who are, there's that violinist that's by the cafe that's right by your house, who's just you've never seen them not play that violin, and they're just looking over the railing. There's so many people what the hell was that? As you start
Get behind.
and she's just out of the way with thaumaturgy. Voice booms, crowds pass. Quite a lot of people ended up sort of huddling in doorways and things. It's when you're traveling down further. Would anyone have anything to say while you're traveling to where this body's going?
Don't worry, Kato. I can talk to them once they're dead.
It's not...
If they're dead.
We need to find out what happened. We need to find out what's going on. This is not normal.
Possible that Kato's mistrust of us was displaced.
It seems that there is at least something else going on, but that is not pertinent right now. We need to focus on the matter at hand. The matter at hand is there is a body falling out of the sky.
Can you guys give me intimidation checks? Yeah, it might still be falling, depending on where it's going.
Yes,
this is a very tall city.
16.
Oh, did I say intimidation? I meant
You did say intimidation.
You did say intimidation.
Yeah, I don't know why we were doing it.
Investigation, I can
I was
actually
I
join
did
in
just
on.
say something forceful.
I just said okay.
You guys need to stop being such followers.
I rolled a 20. Well, apparently that doesn't...
I still rolled worse.
Oh my god.
Yes, you did. That's true. Yeah. I rolled an 11.
That's great. Because you end up traveling quite a far ways down, but you've actually gone down deeper than you necessarily should in the city more often than a lot of people. What you and Rakath both notice as you're traveling down, there comes a point where the body stops falling off the roofs and falling through the roofs. Roofs made of hard, ancient stone. Eventually, you follow this through into it's just sort of an abandoned, sort of empty stone chamber where the hole in the roof has fallen through. There's this stone dust streaming down, a little bit of aether light coming down, but not a lot at all. Illuminating a contorting, shifting body. The bones still cracking. Slashes on the body glowing with the white magic of Ivrith. Your brand, Voss, starts to seethe in pain. But you actually recognize who this is. Both you and Rakath do. Very noticeable. The kind of hair, the scars are of the Mad Priestess, who is the shogun of Narashiro, the military leader. Not someone you would ever have met, but someone you would have recognized the face of. Contorting on the ground, bones cracking, pool of blood. The eyes are just wide and staring forward.
I'd like to do a medicine check to determine whether the fall was the cause of death or whether there was a death.
What do you want to? Is this like a look, or would you want to try and get closer to the body?
I'm gonna get closer to the body.
You step forward, and Kato just puts a gauntleted hand against your chest.
I want to check if she died from the fall or died from something before that. We're here to investigate, Kato. You may be with me to guide it if that would make you feel better.
She slowly pulls your hand away, and you may need to make your check.
I can help.
Can I get advantage on it from Rofi's help?
If he wants to come up nice and close to the shifting body.
Yeah, no, Rofi would be curious enough to do that, but also he's not scared of it. He's scared of Kato.
Yeah, Kato, who is like a step behind you, just this stone wall. They aren't
I have a question.
dead. Yes.
Oh, they're not dead yet.
Sorry, did you
If
just say
I'm
they're
still-
not dead?
They are
Yep.
not dead.
Well,
Oh,
good thing
Based
I'm
on
pretty sure I
your
have a potion.
understanding, the cracking of bones, the stretching of skin. Some of the skin seems to be hardening, almost like forming a chitin.
Oh,
It seems like she is ascending, but you've never experienced any sort of ascension ritual before. But this person has fallen and suffered grave injuries. They are ascending during these injuries. Clearly, to you, that means something is horribly wrong, and clearly this isn't deliberate.
I have a very basic ass bitch potion of healing in my inventory.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna pour it into her mouth.
You take that extra shuffle closer, and when you like kind of push the head back to do that, her eyes split into 2 and then 8.
Yep.
And she screams. Her body splits open, and like a molting insect, this new thing comes out of this tiny space. In broad terms, it does resemble a Dryder, but it is like a Dryder with none of the beauty left. Everything is horrifying and monstrous, and some Driders do have 8 arms and have more monstrous features. She has large blades of chitin coming off her body. The hands are massive claws. The size is far larger than any Drider you've ever seen. It is this horrifying, strange thing of ivory white and blood, and that's where we're going to take a little break. Maybe a long break.
Come on, little one. Come on, little one.
Birth. The miracle of birth.
The miracle of birth.